the government has introduced repressive legislation on a scale never before experienced in peacetime. Ministers have created the new offences of incitement and glorification of terror. New attacks on freedom include control orders, but there's more.
Parliament is currently considering a government measure which would allow the police to extend the time they can hold terrorist suspects without pressing charges. If the bill goes through, they'll be able to detain suspects for up to 6 weeks, by far the longest time in any democracy anywhere in the world. This would abolish the right British subjects have traditionally had to freedom from arbitrary arrest.
We must isolate these murderous extremists, and we will do so best when we, the British people, mobilise the essential decency and moderation of all our communities, and we win the battle of ideas for hearts and minds.
I've come to Hounslow, home to Britain's first suicide bomber, to see whether the Prime Minister is winning the argument. Hounslow is on a government list of potential terrorist hotspots and has been given £500,000 this year to prize young Muslims away from extremism. Muslim Youth Voice attracts smart, well-adjusted kids, but even they feel alienated as a result of the war.
I think it's easy for a British citizen to see that we're at war with Iraq. Therefore, that means Iraq is our enemy. The people in Iraq are mostly Muslims. That's how it affects me, because I'm a Muslim. So does that mean I'm an enemy as well? That's the question people should ask themselves.
There's a pervading sense that the government is hostile to Muslims. Yasmin Molbulkas, who runs the group, says suspicion of the government is so great that some people have even accused her of working for the intelligence services.
What we actually find is, yes, there is unfortunately a fear now within the Muslim community. They feel paralysed. If I say anything, what's going to happen is I can be just picked up and put inside prison without any reason.
That's really quite sad. That shows what happens when Muslims do speak out, that, you know, they're told, they're warned by the government, oh, you can't speak out, you can't, you know, we're in a way trapped that we can't do anything. We just have to watch by what's happening.
I believe that by denying the link between domestic terror and foreign policy, the government is allowing extremists to dominate the argument for hearts and minds.
We do need to understand that there are extremists in the United Kingdom who are supporting the Al-Qaeda network, who are using the Iraq war to recruit and groom young people and turn them from normal law-abiding citizens who may be very frustrated and angry at the UK's foreign policy in Iraq, but turn them into people who are prepared to kill themselves and hundreds and thousands of other people.
I'm in East London for a talk on British foreign policy by a controversial speaker.
You're talking about a war against every practicing Muslim, against Islam. There is a conflict, my dear Muslims, a war taking place on every level nowadays in the world.
Islamic preacher Anjem Chowdhury led two now banned extremist organisations.
We can see, if you want to prevent 7/7s and 9/11s and 3/11s taking place, the way to do it is by changing your foreign policy. Stop demonising Muslims.
There is a danger when you say that the British foreign policy is a justification for radicalism, that you are beginning to justify young men killing their fellow citizens in these terrible suicide attacks.
I didn't say that the British foreign policy was justification for people becoming radical. I said it's a statement of fact that the most radicalising factor within the Muslim community in Britain is the foreign policy of the British government in Iraq and Afghanistan.
But surely in terms of domestic terror, the real criminals are the young men who murdered their fellow citizens in the tubes and buses of London 2 years ago.
But the terrorism of the government is there for all to see, the way that the Muslim community has been demonised, vilified and under a siege, you know, over the last 5 years.
That answer of yours disturbs me. You're equating the fate of some innocent secretary going to work in the city who gets blown to bits where somebody gets locked up for 28 days. I disagree with you.
They're your words, not mine.
No, that was the implication of what you were
They're
telling me
your
just
words.
now.
No, they're your words, not mine. What I'm saying is that the definition of terrorism is the use of force and policies against a community or a section of the community for political purposes.
It's not just Muslims who are upset. Faith in the British political system has been shaken. 2 days ago, 10,000 people came to London to mark the 5th anniversary of the invasion and expressed deep feelings of anger and betrayal.
I believe that the British government misled us in the run-up to this war and that now it's in denial about what we're leaving behind. We failed to bring liberal democracy to Iraq. Instead, we've brought danger to the streets of London. We've damaged our international reputation. We've alienated millions of our fellow citizens. We've betrayed the values that we stand for. Most worryingly of all, the government refuses to acknowledge any of this. Until it does so, we cannot guard against the repetition of this strategic and moral disaster.
For more information about the Channel 4 Iraq season, log on to channel4.com/Iraq. Next on 4, based on a true story, shocking award-winning drama from Nick Broomfield depicting the horrific US retaliation to an insurgent attack in Iraq, the slaughter of numerous men, women and children in the battle for Haditha.
The Last Supper is one of the defining moments in the history of the world. Now theologian Dr. Robert Beckford uncovers the secrets of the 12 disciples. Has the church manipulated their stories to suit its own purpose? The Secrets of the 12 Disciples, Easter Sunday at 5:45 on 4.